This is your Daily Detroit for Wednesday, April 29th, 2020. I'm Sven Gustafson.
And I'm Jer Stays. Today's show is in three parts. First, headlines to know with the pandemic, including an update on progress in the city of Detroit, an economic recovery task force in Oakland County, and a pause on student loan payments for some recipients.
Then there's help for entrepreneurs in the city of Dearborn. I talk about a new grant program with Cristina Sheppard-Decius of the East and West Dearborn DDAs.
And finally, Sven checks in with Fletcher Sharpe on the news of Detroit City FC canceling their spring season and much more.
Let's get right to it.
First up, the top line numbers. There were more than 1,000 new confirmed coronavirus cases in Michigan and 120 deaths as of the latest numbers Tuesday. The official report says 160 deaths, but 40 of those are from earlier in the month. 3,567 Michiganders have perished from COVID-19, and at the current pace, we will cross 40,000 cases sometime in the next 24 hours.
There's also a new statistic to report. The state says that more than 8,300 people have recovered from the virus. The state defines that as someone who is still alive 30 days after they get symptoms. That number lags by a few days and is current as of April 24th. Jer, the city of Detroit has been one of the hotspots in the nation for the coronavirus pandemic. You've been watching a lot of digital news conference lately, staying on top of this. What's the latest?
Well, let's get started with a bit of the bad news, and then we'll hit the good news. The death toll in the city is nearing 1,000 as 988 citizens have died. That's almost 1 in 700 Detroiters, according to Mayor Mike Duggan.
Wow.
Although the number is up 39 officially overnight, the mayor is saying that there were reporting problems. And Sven, we mentioned this in the statewide numbers, and that some deaths are coming in from late March and early April. And things were apparently way worse than we knew of back then because of the slow data that we're just seeing now.
Yeah. What about that field hospital at the TCF Center, formerly known as Cobo Hall? What's happening over there?
Well, there are just 16 patients over there at the field hospital, and at this pace, it won't be long until it's shut down. That's something that Mayor Mike Duggan shared. He also shared that with hospitalizations declining, we currently have 100 empty ICU beds and 500 regular adult beds at Detroit hospitals right now.
So a little bit of a good news. It seems like things are starting to get a little better.
Sven, cautiously, yes. One sign of this is that 200 city workers who cut grass and do other maintenance work are coming back on the job. And the process for this, I wanted to walk through because I think it's going to be one that a lot of companies are going to end up following. And this is one that was created by both the administration and the unions who agreed on this regimen. So it's good that they work together. In order to start working, employees are going to have to take a coronavirus test, and then it's going to have to come back negative. Then each day when employees get to work, their temperature will be taken. And I can tell you, I have one of those easy check thermometers here at home, and it takes just a second. You just scan it. It just goes beep, and there's your temperature. If a worker registers at 100 degrees or more, they will be referred right away to medical care, which is really nice to have.
Oh, well, that makes sense. You're working outside, and so you can be farther apart. The only thing I would say about that is, we know that some people can transmit the coronavirus who would never show any symptoms, but this is as safe as we can be, I guess, given that.
With that in mind, on top of this, the employees are going to be split between 5 work sites instead of 2. Usually there's 2 yards the city of Detroit operates out of for these things. They're actually going to deploy them to 5 sites, and then they're also going to stagger when people report to work so that some will report an hour earlier, some an hour later, so that there's even more separation between people and keeps them socially distanced.
Yeah, interesting. Like you said, probably a preview of how things are going to be for some time going forward. Oakland County has a new task force to oversee the economic recovery from the downturn caused by the coronavirus pandemic. County Executive David Coulter has named 4 co-chairs and 26 total members to the COVID-19 Economic Recovery Task Force. Members range from the private and public sectors, nonprofits, labor unions, and educational institutions. They'll focus on ways the county can support stabilization and recovery efforts, and they'll make recommendations on how the county can help local businesses and organizations rebound from the shutdown. Separately, Oakland County says it has awarded small business grants averaging $2,800 to nearly 800 small businesses. The County Board of Commissioners is expected to consider Coulter's request for a second round of funding at its meeting Wednesday.
About 75,000 recipients of student loans that are guaranteed by the state of Michigan are getting a reprieve during the coronavirus crisis. The state's Department of Treasury says it will halt collections on delinquent federal family education loan program student loans made by a financial institution but serviced by the Michigan Guarantee Agency until September 30th. This means no penalties or garnished wages for borrowers if they miss a payment. The loans were made by private lenders but insured by the state. The federal government hasn't issued the FFELP loans since 2010.
You know, Jer, when I was writing this story, it just dawned on me because we were talking about our food system and some problems that we're going to be talking about on tomorrow's show. And it just really struck me that this coronavirus it's just remarkable how it just keeps spotlighting weaknesses in our society, like one after another after another. It is just really remarkable, like nothing else before, I think. Here's an idea if you're looking for a way to give back during this crisis. There's a grassroots organization called Flag Metro Detroit. It stands for Frontline Appreciation Group. They organized as a way to funnel donations to local restaurants to provide freshly prepared meals for healthcare workers on the front lines of the coronavirus outbreak. Starting Tuesday, the Suburban Collection Automotive Dealership Network is offering a dollar-to-dollar match up to $10,000 to Flag. Flag says it has raised $265,000 and delivered 27,000 meals from 50 locally owned restaurants in its 5 weeks of operation. You can find out all about them and donate at flagmetrodetroit.org or find them on Facebook. We will, of course, put a link in the show notes. The city of Dearborn has announced it's making small business grants available for up to $5,000. They apply to businesses with 17 or fewer employees and sole proprietors located in Dearborn. They're intended to help businesses for 30 days while they pursue other resources. And joining us via Squadcast is Cristina Sheppard-Decius. She's executive director of the East and West Dearborn DDAs. She formerly ran the Ferndale DDA here in my hometown. Cristina, welcome to Daily Detroit.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. What kind of businesses are these grants designed to help?
The smallest of the small businesses, the ones that are getting missed in all of the federal funding that has been coming out daily. I see friends that are business owners and those who I work with, they're struggling to get access to these for a variety of reasons. So this is really to help those in particular, to give them a little bit of cash flow to get them through this time.
What kind of expenses, costs and everything can the grants be used to cover?
It can definitely be used for rent, employee costs, utilities, as well as we've added in there that you can utilize it for migration to e-commerce, things that will help you to stabilize your business and get you going in the platforms for this new world of, curbside delivery and takeout.
Now, I know this whole program is kind of a partnership with a variety of different organizations, right? How are they being funded?
It is being funded through the New Economy Initiative. We started working with them probably only like 2 weeks ago on this. So this came down really fast. And our partners at the table include the DDAs, the City of Dearborn, and its other corridor improvement authorities that we have, Warren and Dix Ferner, as well as Access. And we have partnered up with our chambers to help us to get the word out and help us be a part of that team. So both the Dearborn Area Chamber of Commerce, the American Arab Chamber of Commerce, and the Yemeni American Chamber of Commerce.
Now, I know the application window goes through, I think, noon on May 1st, if I have that correct.
Correct.
We will definitely put a link to more information in the show notes. Christina, how many grants are available? Is there a limited number, or is it just as many as take them up?
As many as we can possibly fund. Obviously, there are some criteria and qualifications within it, which is on the website where the application resides at accesscommunity.org. That will help us determine really how much we can fund per business. It is up to $5,000, but depending on your size, you'll either qualify up to $2,500 or you'll qualify up to $5,000. And then we take a look at the losses that you've incurred over these last basically almost 2 months now, and also your projections for this next month. So that will help us to determine how much is needed per business and hopefully be able to give funding to a lot of businesses. And, right now I know that there's many who have applied, and I'll just encourage everyone, get out there and apply. It's not too late. We haven't cut off the number of applications.
Cristina Sheppard-Decius is Executive Director of the East and West Dearborn DDAs. Cristina, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us. And I hope all of our businesses just keep a positive attitude and keep charging forward. Utilize your local DDAs and your city and other business resources for all the help that you can possibly reach.
Joining us via Skype is a voice we haven't heard a lot from lately with the sports world on hold. Fletcher Sharpe. How you doing, Fletcher?
I'm okay. No sports means no work, though. So in a way, I've been furloughed. So I've been trying to be at peace with that.
All right. So yesterday, Detroit City FC sent out a statement talking about the men's spring season. What did they say, Fletcher?
Essentially, that NISA contacted all the teams and decided to suspend the spring season, which normally would be the death blow for Detroit City FC and any other team in their league, as most of them competed in the NPSL last year, which only has one season. But professional leagues, say for the MLS, typically have a spring and a fall season. So while the spring season is canceled, there is still a chance for them to play later in the year. But as of right now, the season that everyone's anticipating, their first ever professional season coming up right here, will not happen, unfortunately, because NISA has deemed it unsafe, especially with a lot of states having their date to meet in groups pushed back. Like I know Michigan's got pushed back to May 15th, so that's going to drastically affect more of Detroit City FC's home games, plus the crowds even going.
Yeah, and they're leaving the door open for a possible summer season, is that right?
I think they're more so focused towards the fall season. Not really much of a chance in trying to get something together this late, although there are some teams in certain states being able to get ready to at least somewhat practice together. Maybe not in official capacity, but stay in shape.
Fletcher, this was also supposed to be the debut season of Detroit City FC women's team. What's going on there?
The UWS right now has not made a statement. So one can assume that they are just waiting for the season to start, which we can only hope they are, and that the season's going to start soon. Well, not soon, but, within the proper precautions. If they cancel this season, it would not be like the men's side, who we said has a spring and a fall session, as this is not a professional league. It'd be closer to all the other semi-professional leagues, like the NPSL, who only have one session. So if it's canceled, it would be just done, which would be kind of a death blow for me for the year for soccer in the state of Michigan, because not only would we be deprived, but all these people who had all these expectations to come out and play and represent the team would all have to wait for a year, and a lot can change in a year for certain people. So hopefully within the proper precautions, we can get out there and watch some people kick the ball around.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, the women's team roster has been taking shape as if full steam ahead with plans to eventually resume play this season. Fletcher, who stands out to you on the roster as it stands today?
So they got former Michigan Stars coach Sam Pirine, who was not doing so great with the men, but has been really great in coaching the women when he transitioned to the UWS. So getting him is a steal because he's someone who can get all the talent out of all the women. I have 4 players I'll go over really quickly. There's Maya Romero, who is a Trinidad and Tobago national team member at center back. It's a great get to have someone maybe a bit older than college age, a year or two out, who's already represented their national team. So, they have poise in the back. You have Sarah Hugh, who plays for Ann Arbor Lumberjills, or used to play. She applied her time at Michigan State as a forward and midfielder. She now plays defender. You also have Danielle Toney, also from a Big Ten school at Penn State. Bit more pedigree. She is top 10 in goals scored, points, assists, and games played. I know her because she plays in the DCFL. And if you've ever watched her play, you can definitely tell she played at a big college. And this last one, who I'm spotlighting not because I think she'll be a great player, but also because she's a friend of mine. Erin Wide played at Adrian, 2-time MIAA MVP, 13th player in First and Adrian history for being named MVP, first team player 2 years in a row, left Adrian, second in points and assists, third in game-winning goals. She puts the ball in the net. She also played in the DCFL and has probably the quickest feet I've ever seen with my own eyes, including all the professional games I've seen. And she's top 5 easily. So they should have a really devastating middle of the field.
Taken together with Sydney Blomqvist as well, who played in Europe at Sporting Club de Portugal Feminino and in, I think, Finland as well. It sounds like they're going to have a pretty solid squad if and when the action kicks off.
Yeah, of course, the game's not played on paper. It's played on the field. But just looking at the names on this roster and the pedigree that they have, they're pulling together kind of like the men's team, maybe a bit better in its infancy. They're pulling together a lot of small college players who had great accolades, some big college players who contributed pretty well. And unlike the men's team from earlier, they're getting a lot of players who have maybe some professional, but international playing time, whether it's with international team, whether it's with international national team, whether it's with a semi-professional team that's overseas. They're getting a lot of people who know how to play the game properly with a really solid coach. So when they get a chance to play, they should have no problem jumping in against Lansing, Ann Arbor, Michigan Legends. It should be a really fun time if the season happens to come. Hopefully it does, but if it doesn't, we all understand why.
Well, it's something we can all keep as a hopeful sign, looking forward to it. And hopefully, Fletcher, we can get going with this and have you on again more regularly talking about sports and diversions and things like that. So, Fletcher, thanks so much for coming on, and good to hear from you again.
For sure. And if you guys end up not having sports, I can come on and talk about making muffins.
And that'll be all for today's show from the North End Studio in the beautiful city of Detroit.
And from Subterranean Basement here in Ferndale.
Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. A quick reminder that we are people-powered media. Be sure, if you can do it, I know these are tough times, but think about becoming a member at patreon.com/Daily Detroit. It helps keep us fearlessly independent and working for you. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. Till next time, take care of each other, and we'll get through this thing together.